We're here once again. Check in on you, see how you're doing, see how Reverend Newsom is doing. And I was thinking, Newsom, that this time of seclusion is giving us an opportunity to maybe reconnect to those figures and those people who have really influenced us and sort of like created an impact on our spiritual path.
Ah, yeah.
So I would love to
So I'm
chat about
thinking
it.
one of those must have been Oprah Winfrey for you because Anna Quintana does Oprah Winfrey really
You
well. She
always
did.
say that, no, so I don't know.
But you're thinking more along the traditional spiritual lines, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that for me, it's really a lot of people and ministers and writers, uh, people that I have been able to meet or not, but they have really touched my life and touched my growth. Um, do you agree with me? Do you have many of those, or is
Yeah,
it?
I've definitely a smorgasbord of people, different styles and different traditions. Would you like to tell me your favorite one, though?
Well, sure. There's a lot of them, but my latest love has been Ram Dass, Servant of God. I It was already, we were in this church, we had just relocated, and one day is like fall, and I'm at home, and there's something that is really bothering me internally, and I'm trying to figure out what it is, and I'm finding myself looking for something that I was not sure what I was looking for, but I knew there was something that I needed internally.
Yeah.
And somehow I was led to some writing from Ram Dass, and immediately I just received what I wanted, and like almost overnight, became his follower. And I could tell you more, but at least for now, I can just share the fact that I am a strong believer, and you probably feel the same way, and many of you feel the same way, that when the student is ready, the teacher appears, the right and perfect. And that has been my case, in which whatever I'm ready for, the perfect person shows up and gives me that inspiration, that knowledge that is just perfect and customized for me for that moment. Do you agree? Do you feel like that too, or?
Well, yeah, usually what happens with me, excuse me, around that is that I found it in a book. The moment I need something, and which happens just about every Sunday, about 10 minutes before I go on there, I'm like desperately trying to find something, and I open a book, and boom, right there. There it is, the full-blown answer to the question I was trying to, or the missing piece or something happens right then. And so I've come to really believe it. It's just a remarkable thing. You just stick your thumbs in there, and wherever it opens up, just read. Oh, that's enough. That's good. Put it back.
And how do you pick your books?
Same way. It's like kind of look at the what's up there, and I have a lot of books. Anyway, I look at
Yeah.
that,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I will pull out maybe 4 or 5, and then I don't know why it is that the one I bring into church seems to be the right one, and then I'll open it, and it's not always true that feel like I'm missing something just before I do the talk, but so many times I've had that and just opened it, and there it was. So, right, I believe that when you need it, it will, and it's on a spiritual, if you're on a spiritual quest, it will be there for you.
So but you see it more like not only in your process, but in getting prepared for Sunday. It's like you trust that whatever needs to be received, you will receive it, and it will be
Yeah.
perfect for what you're about to do. And that's like, I have great admiration for that.
Well, I don't see it as a particularly special thing. I think all of us essentially have to live by faith, by trust. We have
Yeah.
faith or trust in something, and this just happens to be one of the areas that most people don't have as much familiarity with this style as I do, and so for me it just seems like natural. Of course it will happen. Of course it will. Something will come. There were years where I didn't believe it, but after all these years, you go, look, this is not about me. Why wouldn't it be there, right? Why wouldn't it be that whatever the divine wants to use me in this moment. And so I do a lot of asking, please speak through me, etc. Give me the download for the day, speak through me, help me, please, depending on my sense of inadequacy in that moment, which is usually fairly high.
But there's this underlying belief, true belief, and certainty that that information is going to show up for you, either given as a download or that you will pick it up from a book.
Or something, yeah.
Interesting, Neusom, because it's not how I prepared, but what I'm seeing now as I get more and more engaged in my Spanish ministry and doing shows every week and everything, it's almost like I open up to an idea and then I'm taken into just like that. So I agree. I'm like, I don't need to do much. I essentially have to just, like what you do, trust, and it's going to come to me. But that's like, I must say that's a new experience for me. I've been more like structure as to say, okay, I'm going to do this and it's all on me. And that's something that I definitely have learned from you.
It's not on you.
It's not on
The
you.
best is not on you anyway. I mean, because you think about it, our little brain's about this big, and what you're talking about is connecting to something that is infinite. So why would you count on this as being the answer? It's like, nah, not so much. I want to talk about my teacher that I would like to talk about in this. So Ram Dass, but the person I want to remind you of is Byron Katie. Byron Katie is a woman who started, I guess, her spiritual quest. It turned out that she was put in a halfway house when she was coming to her senses, in a sense, about her process. She was so dissatisfied with herself, she would not sleep on the bed. She slept on the floor. And she says, what started the quickening for her was when a roach crawled across her foot. And this just goes to show you, it's not always where you think it is it's going to happen. So many of the big teachers, they've had a very bad beginning, and somehow they've come out of it. But anyway, her thing is essentially, if you want to argue with the way things are, you're essentially saying you know better than God does. And so her big thing is about acceptance. And I can do it really quickly. She has 4 questions and a turnaround. You ask these questions of anything you're making a judgment against if you want to release the judgment. And the thing goes like this: is it true? So let's say Anna should not have worn this green scarf today, and it means a big thing because I can't stand green or whatever. And I say, the question would be, is that true? And I'd say, of course it's true. It's a terrible color. And then she goes, well, can you absolutely know it's true? And I go, well, no, I can't necessarily know it's absolutely true. She shouldn't do it. You got to be a little bit of doubt. And then she asks this really pertinent question: who would you be? How are you when you have that thought? Excuse me. This is the next question: is how are you when you have that thought? And generally, it's like upset and anger and disappointment, separation, all the sufferings that go into it. But those are put in their place when you ask the next question: who would you be without that thought? And the opposite is true. You'd be happy, peaceful, loving, etc., compassionate. So just by asking those 4 questions, you begin to recondition your mind to look at the situation quite differently. And then to just amplify it, she adds this thing: turn it around. Can you say, is it just as true that perhaps that she should be wearing that? Yes, you have to say that's true. Is it absolutely true that she might look good with that on? Yes, that's true, et cetera, et cetera. You change the order around. And I just found that Byron Katie took the complex problem of being judgmental and broke it down into simple little questions that defeat your brain from thinking the same. And it liberates people enormously to do that. And I was with her for a retreat in Los Angeles. I think it was about 7 years ago. But it was about a 10-day retreat held in a hotel. Most of us were staying in the hotel, all that sort of stuff. It was kind of intense. It was all about doing this transformational work for the whole time. But I went up to her at the end of it, near the end of it, and you could feel her force field was at least 10 feet out from her. And it explained a lot of the reason why people who would go and talk to her would be transformed. It's because the work, which is what she calls her questions, the work had been so profound in her that the spirit of who she was just radiated out and was transformative, both at a large distance, this group of 250 people, or especially when you were one-on-one with her. I think she, I like to call her the American guru. And so, or the American Buddha. I often use that phrase too.
Wow, that's a big title.
It's a big one, yeah.
I was thinking that being the force field is what we are called at this time. Maybe as we go deeper in our seclusion process, we get to that place in which our transformation is truly so real that just our presence is enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Ram Dass,
that's what I experienced with Ram Dass.
Right. He was no longer the articulate Harvard professor, teacher that he once was, but...
I told you, I spent almost an hour in a Skype session, and I would say that 60 to 70% of the time, he was not doing any talking. He was just sitting at that presence. My heart opened. I had a transformational experience just being at his presence, just being in that force field.
Yeah.
So it's not about the words. One of my teachers, a former Unity minister, he would say, it's never about the words, it's the presence, Anna. And the presence comes from that true awareness that what we are saying, we are in alignment, we are in integrity with what our words are. And that our transformation, at least we try.
Yes.
We do our best.
I think we do our best to be in alignment with it. And sometimes we say it until we make it.
Right.
It's not necessarily...
How do you say in English, fake it until you make it?
I don't think fake it's a good word. I think you just say it till you make it.
Yes.
You keep working. You're not fake. You don't want to be a fake.
Right.
But you say it.
You say it. It might feel fake initially, but the more you allow yourself to do it and you trust, once again, that the work is being done, ultimately grace will take you there. And
the world is bigger than... The world, with all its wisdom, world meaning, or the universe, or the divine, or something, so much bigger than we are, that so much of what we have to do is just get out of the way.
That's it.
And let it work through you. And that's where I think Katie's work really makes a big difference, is because her thing is, do you think you know more than God? You think the world should be different than it is? The world is as it is. That's how it is. And you lose every time you argue with it. And you win every time you agree.
It's the same thing as Michael Singer. It's just the surrender experiment.
Right.
Loving what is, right? And being okay with whatever shows up. Being non-resistant. Probably this is our biggest lesson right now as a world, just letting it be and surrender to it.
Yes, I think you're right. I think we could end on that, but I just want to say, keep up the good work. I know that this is not an easy time. Anna and I have talked about this a bit. We hope that you will find some comfort in what we're doing here, just as a reminder that you are loved and appreciated in this community, and that this time is not wasted.
May you feel the love because it's real. We love you, we bless you, and we behold the Christ in you.
And so it is.